So, where do I begin? So the idea of this leadership image is called the seasons of a presentation. It's a specific context of looking at how to present something to make sure that you focus on the presentation just as much as you focus on the content. I did a lot of presentations when I was little. In middle school and high school, I was always the person to be up there and presenting, and that's not always how I wanted presentations to go in groups. I want to kind of summarize how you approach presentation. Some groups I was in, we did a lot of working together and dividing up the work and then presenting it to the group in the classroom or whichever people were presenting it to. And other groups didn't do very well. It was monotonous. It's an interesting approach to have a context and a framework for presenting instead of not knowing how to approach it. So what's the best approach? What's the context to use? Well, presenting can be scary. There's a time crunch and there's a lot of expectations in being in front of people. You have to understand that it's just like this. It's just there's more people in the room. It's the same thing when I make YouTube videos. There's this formula. SCB, SPI. Engage, connect, big idea, support, personalize, illustrate. You have a personal story first when you engage. Have something that's relatable and that the audience can take a grasp of. Then you connect that idea with the universal struggle, with something that everybody is going through, and that widens your context into something much, much larger. Illustrate the universal struggle that we're all going through. That's what relatable stories do. Then you have your big idea, the hitter, the specific. You go from a large context to a small context. Your concept to solve the dilemma that you're creating in your viewers from the beginning. Then you have some support, statistics, more stories if you want, and that helps support your main idea. Why should we accept it? Why should we listen to you? And then you personalize it for the audience. You give them specific steps they can take to actually take that idea and make it their own. Illustrate is sort of the future vision where the final action step is. You're kind of casting a vision for what this idea brings about and how it can positively help whoever's listening. Now, all presentations don't follow this format. This is just an idea format if you want to kind of take an idea and think about it and put it into a specific context. It's very, very subject specific, but those are the steps. Each season prepares you for the next tempo in a presentation or the overall flow and inflection of the presentation. If you start off low and you build energy, by the end you get really, really loud and excited and you talk like this. And then if you sit down and you douse the flame. And you let the audience endure some silence, which is dangerous. Dangerous. So what's the big idea with presentations, the seasons of a presentation? The context you set for a presentation. It's easy to fill in the what and you focus more on the how. I don't know if one's more important than the other, it's up to you really, but I think the how part is very, very important with how entertaining and stimulating everything in the world is right now. There are no small audiences and there are no boring subjects. There are only people that speak to small audiences, small speakers, and there are only people that speak subjects in a boring manner. Anything is interesting if you present it in a way that's relatable and fascinating. I have a link below from Tim Elmore. He did this little tiny relatable video where he shows you all the mistakes that a PowerPoint presenter makes in a presentation. It is absolutely hilarious. You need to check that out. Or you know what, just click on my ear. You can do that too. You'll lose time in a really, really good presentation. It's like watching a TED Talk. You'll feel and learn, and then by the time it's over, you're like, where did the time go? It doesn't drag on and on and on. A lot of you probably know what that feels like. I certainly do. This can be for presenting any idea. You can take this mindset or this context and this method and just plug in what you want to present, all of your information, and then find out an interesting way to portray it. And here's something else. If you get all the what together, you can share the how. As long as the presentation is cohesive and makes sense, you can actually divide each part of the presentation up and give people part of the how, and then they can make it how they want. Or you can combine the how and do stuff in the presentation at the same time. A lot of presentations are subject dependent. You're not always going to be able to present something in a very creative and dynamic and interesting way, but you should do your best to try to get them involved. If you can take the word workshop and you can take the word presentation and make a presentation workshop, I think that is the best method in terms of communicating an idea. Because then you have your audience actually taking that information and applying it and creating and analyzing and evaluating and doing all the things on that little Bloom's taxonomy creative table, not just memorizing something at the bottom and then regurgitating it later. Go forth and use this. Make it your own. I'm just sharing this because this is what's worked for me. I did a workshop presentation once and I got amazing feedback in FCCLA for this workshop I did at Summer Leadership. It was cool. It wasn't just sitting down and listening the whole time. God, it doesn't work. So those are the seasons of a presentation. What do you guys think? Are you going to use this in school? Can you use it in school? I'm in work right now. I'm not in school anymore. I can't even use it, but I did. I read Tim Elmore's book in 9th grade. 9th. I was a freshman. Completely helped, and I hope it can help you too. If you decide to use it, it's up to you. I think I'm all set. My name is MattPalka, Buddy Palka. Keep creating awesome self. Don't forget to be awesome, and Don't forget the seasons of a presentation. You take a context, you put the what in, you embellish the how, and you have fun with it. Yeah, that's it. Blah!